I think we're live. Hello, everyone, all you viewers on Lighthouse Hockey's YouTube channel and such. This is the Lighthouse Hockey just gab fest about free agency. I'm Dominic, the sort of whatever of the site, and I have most of our contributors, writers, moderators, communists, Nazis, jerkfoots, whatever else we've been called by angry commenters who didn't allow you to air all of your intelligence. So we're just going to talk about free agency and everything and steer through topics that are hot on everybody's mind. Let's do a roll call. We'll start with you, Chris.
Here.
All right.
Present.
What was I supposed to... Chris?
Then we got PGI.
Hi. Coming to you from the inside of a jug of orange juice.
All right. Nice.
Orange Julius.
David.
Wearing my man skirt.
Yes, the man of claw. Keith.
Hey, how are you?
All right, Mark.
Hey, my head's even bigger in real life.
Nice. And Mike B just getting in under the wire here.
Snuck in. I had a special shirt my wife got me when I hurt my meniscus. It says I do all my own stunts.
Nice.
Very good. All right. Is that your couch there as well?
Actually, this is the futon. I'm on the battle bridge.
Okay.
Futon sounds like you keep it in the basement.
All right, we'll kick it off just putting the latest controversial topic to bed, or I don't even know if it's the latest, but the oldest, I don't know, whatever. Nino Niederreiter, he's gone. How upset are you that we aren't going to get to see what he might become, and are you all right with the trade, Chris?
Zero. Zero upsetness that he's gone, and I'm okay with the trade. I would have liked to see them get something more back because I feel like he was our best trade chip. But, I mean, I believe Snow went out and tried to get the best offer, and if Calgary Buck's the best offer, then I don't have a problem with the trade. But I was sick of his attitude, sick of the drama that followed him. Even if it wasn't him, it was his agent. I don't think the team needs it. Good riddance.
Keith, you're also distraught?
Yeah, I'm broken up pretty terribly. Not really, at all, actually. Yeah, I didn't like him. I just didn't like his behavior. And yeah, I'm not that broken up. Of course, you wish he could have got a little more. I don't know if I agree with Chris that he was our best trade chip. I'm sure there's other guys with a lot more value, but he was the most. I guess probably what you were getting at is that he's the one you'd be most willing to part with to get anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, we saw what he was a couple of years ago, and he may have improved. He was in the AHL, but and of course he could get better. But we got a reasonably good player, physical player, and less attitude. So that's always nice, and I'm ready to move on.
Anybody else, especially if you have a counterpoint on Nino?
I was never that big on him even when they drafted him. I don't like European guys who come over and play in the major juniors. They never really seem to pan out. And I'd rather them stay over and try to fight for a roster spot on in the NLA or the leagues here in our SM Liga than come over and be guaranteed a spot on one of the major juniors. So
That was almost Don Cherry. That was great.
reverse Don Cherry.
Europeans.
Hey, he had some. He likes it. Thinks the Islanders are going to be tough to play against. This is Don Cherry's way of saying that's good. But they don't have a Clutterbuck, which is nice. It's nice to have one of those guys on our side for more change. So I don't know if Nino is the right way to get that guy, but it's nice to, after years of dealing with Cook and Briere and those guys, it's nice to have one of those type of shitty old scumbag, ooh, I hate that guy players on the Islanders side for things. That guy.
Yeah, basically you're looking at him as kind of a John Sim that hopefully works out.
Yeah. Unlike John Sim.
Right.
Just like John Sim, only completely different. So we're hoping for it.
The rich man's John Sim.
Yeah.
John Sim, but he's good. Poor
Poor
John.
man's
I,
John Sim is just
I
John
do
Sim.
know this. There are thousands of Wild fans weeping into their Clutterbuck jerseys now that he's been traded. I never got why they loved him so much here, but you go to the Excel Center and like every other jersey you see is a Clutterbuck jersey. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I like to tell them they misspelled Bossy on the back of those jerseys.
Yeah, I think a few of you guys made the point that he's not necessarily a protector. He's not going to be an enforcer. You might actually get some guys run because of some of the toolish stuff he does. But at the same time, as much as I hate to admit it, and as much as I have not enjoyed him, he's a useful tool to have around. And that's another element that they probably could add. I never would have expected Nino was how they would get that, but he was obviously on the way out.
This makes me trying to wrap my brain around how Clutterbuck is an island. Like, it's just, everybody, you have those guys, you kind of think about, it'd be great to have that guy, you think a trade for that guy. He's not one of those guys, so it's just sort of weird to wrap my brain around that guy as an Islander. But, him and his mustache, so I guess we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, and then when he knifes a Ranger, though, everybody will be like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
He's born an Islander. Yeah.
He's going to make Michael Haley look like John Sim when he does.
That's right.
Gosh.
Our first Michael Haley reference.
Somehow we have a caller.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't know what we do with that.
Hang up.
Who's he calling? I said, who's he calling? I mean, how does he pop up on your screen, Dom, or?
I'm totally making that up. That was a joke. Sorry. I'm sorry. No, I did. No,
Successfully
Michael Haley
trolling
drags
the
me
other guy.
out of.
Wow, that's cool.
My page says 1 viewer, so I'm like,
That's me.
I know who that is.
okay. So sticking with Clutterbuck, where do we see him fitting? Are some of you nervous that he might be on the first line sometimes, or do you want him on the first line, or you think he's just going to be part of those grinding, crash and bang guys on the third or fourth line? Anybody first?
I wouldn't mind seeing him on the first line. Why not? Especially during camp, at least see how him and Tavares do. Because freaking he had oh my god, it was now I forget, it was either 100 points or 150 points when he was playing with JT. And like for the rest of his junior career, he had almost nothing. Of course, he was also I think 2021. So
I think that says it all right there, though.
All right,
JT was like 15.
Someone vacuum me?
All right.
I mean,
All right, can I throw a question out really quick to everyone?
Yeah, please.
Just because it has to do with the topic. Do you think at this point, do you think they asked Tavares like anything to do with player personnel moves? Because this kind of screams John Tavares a little. I just feel like he was so frustrated last year that he wants someone on his line that might have a little size, and the first person he thought was Cal Clutterbuck. Anyway.
To answer Mark's question, by the way, 89 points. It was 35 goals and 89 points with Oshawa.
All right, Dan Reale.
Research.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, we're all online. I figured it only made sense to look it up.
That's right.
I'm going like a frame per minute, so I won't be looking up any stats on my see.
I think they do talk to him. I don't know if it would be at the level of like, who do you want? We'll go out and get him. And hey, that Nino kid, we're gonna toss him out for you. But
about him?
I don't know. I think they've asked like it seemed. I don't know. From some of Snow's comments, it seems like they've asked the team every now and then, like, do you want a Trevor Gillies guy? Do you want how much crazy do you need? How much are you willing to cover for them on the ice? But I would think you'd be like, hey, you played with this kid. What do you think? Of course, if that trade went down quickly, I don't know. I think they knew Clutterbuck was being shopped for maybe like 24 hours or something. So who knows if there was time to check that out.
Yeah, I would think if it's somebody as played with somebody, you can't probably help but ask, what's he like? How is he? As far as Clutterbuck, I can't see specifically going out of your way to get Clutterbuck. I mean, if that's the case, put Martin on his line. I mean, you're talking about 10 goals, but like you would have thought, if that was the case, you'd have seen a Martin on his line last year, or somebody to that effect. Colin McDonald, who had more goals than Clutterbuck last year.
6 or 7, right?
Yeah, that's double. Double Clutterbuck's output from last year. But you know what I mean? So I think to some degree, yeah. And obviously we've seen how far out of their way they go to make Tavares comfortable with Waite's house and draft Strome, play Molson. Trying to build something. It seems like at least that guys he knows.
Whether it's like premeditated or not, if Garth's idea of building a team is to just get John Tavares' friends on the roster, go for it. Whatever makes that guy happy, get him on there. If he's got cousins, neighbors, babysitters when he was a kid, get them all on the team and make JT happy. That's fine by me. I'm cool with that, whether they meant that with the Clutterbuck thing or not.
That's great.
So apparently our franchise player is actually Matt Molson.
Says who made that up.
Was that a Dan Freeman thing?
That's inaccurate.
That's inaccurate.
I like Molson, but
Disagree.
Oh no, I was just saying because we signed so many of his relatives and
His
whatnot.
relatives.
Yeah. If you don't know John Tavares or marry into Molson's family, you have to be traded. That's what happened. Nino had a bad blind date with one of Molson's cousins, and it didn't work out. And they sent him off.
Sources say.
sources say
E5, baby. E5.
Just so you guys know, there's Staple is tweeting out some DiPietro quotes right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was just reading that.
Do you want to
How
hear
much
some?
cursing are we allowed to do on this?
It's so far we're up to 2 quotes, not too bad. Now we're up to 3. And the third one's the charm. Rick DiPietro tells Newsday the Islanders are finally turning a corner, and the most disappointing part is that I won't be a part of it. Which is, nice.
They wouldn't be turning the corner if you were a part of it.
Right. Yeah.
More DiPietro. It was a great 13 years. I can't believe it's been 13 years. Also.
Wow. That's incredible.
I can't say how much I appreciate everything Charles Wong has done and the Isles did for me.
Here
Third
comes the
one.
winner.
Here comes the winner. Let me stop. Stop me if you've heard this one before. DiPietro said it's the healthiest summer he's had in a while. Still wants to play in the NHL. I definitely want to play, he said.
And the Swallows come back to San Capistrano.
I feel bad even, but yeah. So that's that. We'll see if anything else pops up. I'm sure Staple will have a bigger story on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one standard is that every summer feeling better than I have in years, and I do hope it works out for him.
Yeah. The Blues will pick him up. I know it.
Well, they need another goalie.
They do.
Yes.
All right, good. DiPietro. It's as far as free agency. I mean, we'll talk about some of our favorite targets, but supposedly the Islanders were in on Danny Briere. He's whittled his list down, and the Isles are not on it. How many of you guys were kind of hoping he would be brought in?
Me.
Yeah.
I wanted Briere for the same reason that I like Clutterbuck. He's just that guy that's just really, really irritating to play against. But the good news is Clutterbuck is like 10 years younger, so I guess it worked out in the end. But I don't know. I think Briere would have worked out okay if he wasn't like a team's like first line center. I think it would have been okay. But wants to play. I heard Jersey had the inside track because he wants to stay close to his kids. Hey, more power to him. Go for it.
I'm personally most disappointed about not getting Le Cavalier if you're going to go for a sort of a discount guy who can play the center and still has something left in the tank. But for the years and the money he got from Holmgren, it doesn't make any sense for the Islanders to have done that. So that's sort of a problem that it took care of itself.
Yeah. Keith, you look like you wanted Briere too.
I did. I'm also not disappointed that we didn't get him. But I thought he could have been a good fit, but yeah, if he's going to be expensive, if he's going to be in the Le Cavalier area, then definitely not really, because he's only over 35, so that could be crippling. So, but again, I said before, I don't know, we made the playoffs. I'm not really too upset about guys. No, really, the makeup of the team isn't that much different. And again, there's been a bunch of nonsense that's gone on within this division that, I can't sit here and say, oh, well, we've lost a step on anybody, so far. So, we move on and the next guy. I could just as easily see Peter Mueller being as good as Briere.
I'm seeing a tweet here that it's saying the Flyers are the dark horse to sign Daniel Briere. I don't know how true that is, but
That's
it's probably
impossible.
true.
It sounds like a PGI joint.
Yeah, right.
I mean, can they?
What was that?
You're not allowed to re-sign someone you bought out.
I think the Flyers
That's
can
right.
sign whoever they want.
That's in the CBA.
Cap space? What cap space?
CBA is flexible, so
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked Briere on the wing on a kind of 1 or 2 year tryout. Kind of just filling in the same, that sort of turnstile until somebody else comes up from the system. But I kind of wonder if he had a lot of bidders if somebody's given him 3 or 4 years. And I don't know, just his age and the way his last year has gone. Like, if that's what it came down to, then I'm glad they're not in on it in the end. But watch, he'll probably sign a 1 year deal.
Yeah, and and as a wing, I think that creates more problems for the Islanders anyway. Because then you still I think I would have rather had him as a center, but the wings are kind of all spoken for at this point. So except for Tavares' wing, who I don't know that he'd be able to hang too much with that personally. What the hell happened to you now, Dan? What is this?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to me.
Really?
Oh, it's all the orange
Wow.
You turned into that's the aha video.
Okay.
Oh, there
I
we
always
go.
wanted that girl.
I'm trying to see if everybody
It's
is
hot
not
black
like
and white, right?
everybody looks right now. Everybody's video sort of seems like a flip book, like you kind of make in grade school, with a piece of paper and a little stick figure. So I'm trying to adjust that, but
No.
I don't think I can.
Do you do drugs, Dan?
I feel
like-
like it.
you like drugs,
Every day. What seems to be the problem?
The AV Club had a great thing on the golf course where they shot Caddyshack today. You should definitely check it out.
Oh, thanks for the tip. Great. Okay, we've got. All right, our next question here, topic is kind of related to that, but it's Brad Boyes. Who's going to take that spot on the wing, or is he? You think he still might be resigned if you want him? What would you? What kind of terms or conditions would you want for him, or do you just want to let him, do a Ryan Strome thing, or somebody else?
I wouldn't mind seeing Horton there.
Yes.
I mean, they got the cap space to spend.
Whoa, McNally, nice, Cam laughter. Where the
Oh,
hell
I told
did
you
you
who
get
does
that?
it?
I knew it was you.
All right. I'm that predictable already.
All right. But
You Mike's couch.
There goes,
Yep.
there goes Mike.
but continue that thought, Dave.
I mean, I'd like to see them make a run at Horton for that spot. He's young enough that long-term contract wouldn't be too much of a out of the question, and they have they're $8 million under the cap floor right now, so they have money to spend. I think he'd be a good addition. Guy can score 25 to 30 goals a year if he's past his concussion stuff. So I'd really like to see him, and he's been in a bruising division in the Northeast, so coming to the Atlantic wouldn't be that much of a change physically for him. So and it add some extra muscle on that line with JT and Molson.
Yeah.
And he would be the sort of muscle that you also know he can bang in 30 goals.
Yeah.
Horton has always been sort of my preference if they go for anybody. You might as well make a big splash, because otherwise you can always debate over whether or not the person you're bringing in is actually that much of an upgrade over anybody that they could use in-house. You never know if Okposo was actually going to finally stop hitting posts and start getting a little better luck on his shooting and put 25 goals in himself. And he has had some. It's going to be very tough to go around. But seriously, you're going to have success hopefully. Sooner or later, you hope that he has better puck luck with his shooting, and at times he has been good on that line with Molson and Tavares. You could say the same thing, at least in short stretches, with Bailey when they used him there occasionally. You're hoping that maybe you can put Strome in there, if Strome doesn't have room in the center spot for or take the second line. So unless you're really definitely upgrading, fantastic. Yes, exactly. Unless you're sure you're getting a king, you might as well stick with the Vaughn Jack.
Well said.
I'm just using what Brad boys.
For those,
I'm kind of glad I'm not popping up in the center when I talk. I can get used to this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if in the full broadcast it'll show our thumbnails or just whoever's talking. So
it usually does.
Let's hope it does.
Okay.
I felt like it usually did.
So it won't just sound like we're all high.
Too late.
I'm sorry. They're like, this is fun. But yeah, I'm not necessarily sure I care whether Brad Boyes comes back or not. He's he played well. I could see them going a different direction. Again, playoffs. It's one of those guys that I mean they seem to do fine with whoever gets in there, right? But I feel like Parento was better than Boyes. The next guy will be as good or better. They could go with a rookie. Even Horton, nobody seems to be afraid of Horton's shoulder injury, huh? Because that's been described as chronic and pops out a lot, hasn't it?
I read he wants to go somewhere quiet. He doesn't want to go to a big city. So I would think that would count us out right away.
Well, until 2015, we're not a big city, right?
Aren't we close enough? We have a beat writer.
I'll tell you what. Well, we're definitely as far as media goes, there's nobody here. We're certainly not. I mean, if you have $6 million a year, you can find some damn quiet parts of Long Island.
A room with purple sheets. Curtains.
Not really. Dude, these are cheap. These from Target.
Did Horton meet with Columbus today, or was that just somebody?
That was the tweet rumor, yeah.
Wow, you can't get much quieter than Columbus. So, and maybe he signs
Maybe Minnesota.
Yeah. Do they have any cap room left?
No. They're over the cap right now, I think.
Yeah, how does that happen? Oh, I guess Suter and
Parisi.
Yeah. And Nino Niederreiter.
That's a quota.
$3 million.
Well, and they also just re-signed Backstrom for $3.5 million a year too.
Right.
So.
That's one.
Isn't that why they had to waive Gilbert?
I think so.
Yeah, right. That's one thing on Nino we didn't follow up with. What do you think the chances are that he makes the Wild, and if he doesn't make them out of camp, how long before we hear a Swiss interview just bashing the Wild?
Well, he's 100% going to make the Wild because the minor league team's now the Iowa Wild.
Oh.
They moved from Houston, so he's on the Wild no matter what.
Wow.
But I don't know. It depends how many people he pisses off in training camp.
Yeah. Because their prospect pool is pretty stacked, isn't it?
Yeah,
they all
they got Zucker and Boyle, and they got a bunch of wings on top of Nino.
Granlund, I think, is out there. They're hoping he gets his act, because he had a rough go of it, but they sent him down. They didn't just leave him to dangle in the wind with Jay Pandolfo.
How awesome would it be if the Wild signed Jay Pandolfo and put him on
That would be beautiful. So we meet again.
So happy Pandolfo didn't win the cup.
But somebody made a fake Jay Pandolfo Twitter to like thank the Bruins for all they've done for him.
Was that fake?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Galudi or July, Fire and Ice.
Oh, awesome!
He confirmed because he was taken in at first. He said, and then he.
Who the hell makes a fake J Pandolfo Twitter?
I got a fake Steve Stais one.
I saw something on.
Hell of a lot of time on their hands.
I saw something else on Twitter that said that anybody who makes a fake J Pandolfo probably doesn't own shoes. I could buy that.
I mean, what would his next tweet be? Like going out to Walgreens for more Ben Gay. Ran out of icy hot.
Just when you think the internet has hit bottom, you know, there's snuff films, there's child porn, and then there's J Pandolfo fake Twitter.
So I just got followed by J Pandolfo's ego. So.
That's got to be a very small account. Because even when he was playing, he never seemed like he had like an ego. He just seemed like a normal guy who just happened to play NHL hockey, you know.
Like he was on a pickup team.
All right, bringing us back to sort of the topics at hand. The biggest question on everyone's mind probably is what the hell are the Islanders going to do about a goalie? I guess they've missed possible opportunities on Bernier and Schneider if they could have even met the asking prices on those two. But there's still a few out there, but like, what are you guys thinking? Is it going to have to be through free agency? Is it going to have to be through a trade where they pay more than they probably are willing to pay? Or are we just going to be like, let's bring Nabby back and a prospect and let him fire it out?
Trade for Luongo.
All right, Luongo's out.
Luongo to retire next week. That'd be a nasty recapture penalty.
That would be awesome.
That might be the only revenge he has left open to him.
Yeah, right.
Screw you guys.
I'm going home.
Suck it, Gillis.
I could have swore that Emery was going to be the guy just because he's out there, and he's only 30 years old. I thought he was a lot older than that. He seemed like he's been around a long time. So, but now the word is he may just resign with the Blackhawks. So I don't know. I would have put money on him being with the Islanders, but I guess not. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't know who else is left. Eric Fischel is out there, I think.
Yeah,
Don Denis is out there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
He's literally out there. Check your backyard.
But Joey McDonald and Nathan Lawson are already signed.
Off my lawn.
I mean, I just hope people are talking Miller, Hiller, Halak. They only have 1 year on their contract left, and I don't want to see us trade prospects or whatever and have a goalie for 1 year and be right back in this situation next year. I'm not thrilled with Brizgalov. I'm not thrilled with Emery. Tim Thomas. I think it's going to be the Blackhawks pooling.
If we get any goalie for 1 year, it's one more year than we've usually had a goalie for, isn't it?
Rolly.
That's kind of where I am. That almost like they might be desperate enough where that 1 year risk might be important. Then if they have to buck up to keep them. If it works out, if it doesn't work out, they're just in the same situation. But,
Well, certainly.
At the very least. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Well, certainly, it seems like the stronger options are the trade guys. The Hiller, Miller, Luongos. But I would be fine with Brizgalov on a short, prove it kind of 1 or 2 years. See if he can get him. But that might not be enough to get him. I would try Brizgalov though, out of the UFA guys, but that's just me. Outside of that, I'd probably try and do something bigger with Anaheim, to get Hiller and Ryan or a defenseman, maybe.
Anaheim has like 29 goalies on the roster, so if you're going to trade with somebody, it'd probably be the Ducks. But.
Yeah, it's only fair. Mike, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that even if they do wind up having a goaltender like Miller for just a year, it gives the guys that they've been developing 1 more year to mature, to get more work in, hopefully, work on whatever health issues, getting healthy like Poulin and Nilsson. Although, as an Isles fan, obviously, I'm quite leery of the idea that oh, we just need our goalies to get healthy. We've had that every year now for 6 years. No, having it with a whole new crop of prospects with Nilsson and his vitamin issues and Poulin's magic kneecap is kind of scary. So, but still, you want them to mature. You want them to learn more of their craft and not just rely on their athleticism. The funny thing is, if you could combine Nilsson's sort of positional play with Poulin's athleticism, you'd have a great goalie. It's like they have to teach, they should just like study each other in practice and try and emulate each other's style of play. Maybe that'll do something. But if you're hoping for one of those, or for Milner, who may or may not have been signed, but we're going to assume that he was signed, then you've got three guys who are reasonable, at least to you can give them a competition in training camp. You can see what you have with them. And one extra year of them being mentored by a player like Miller can only benefit them, I think.
Mark, you like goalies and have been quiet. Who do you hope they get?
I'm for Miller. I think if you get somebody here, even if it's for just a year, if you get a solid goaltender like Miller, we'll make the playoffs and hopefully convince them to stick around. But I'm against Verzalov because I've seen him in Philly. If he's going to survive anywhere, it's going to have to be somewhere nice and quiet where nobody pays attention to hockey. So probably
Russia.
the West Coast somewhere.
Phoenix.
Or Long Island.
I think I think Poulin. I don't think Poulin's going to be an NHL goalie now. I think his injuries are too bad. He just doesn't have it anymore since the first injury back 2 years ago, was it? I don't think Nielsen will ever. I think Nielsen might be all right, but I don't think he'll be. I think he'll be a third string, floats between AHL and NHL at the best. I don't think he's going to be a starter.
Okay, let's do a quick straw poll on which of those two is the better bet. Who's going to have a better career, Chris?
Out of who and who?
Nilsson or Poulin?
I'm a Poulin guy. I don't know. I've just seen more of Poulin, honestly, than I have Nilsson. I feel like Poulin's a little more athletic. He's a little more goalie-ish than Nilsson. So that's my answer, Poulin, and a terrible reason.
I go Nilsson because his nickname is Thor, and that's awesome. David.
Don't even ask Dave.
You stole David's answer, I think.
No, I'm actually going for Poulin. Nilsson's whatever the hell was bothering him this year just scared me off of him. And the fact we never really heard specifically what it was, that scares me off of Nilsson. And Poulin's already, right now he'd probably be a good NHL backup. So, yeah.
David, you're a disgrace to all of your ancestors.
He's a Swede. I'm Norwegian. We hate each other.
You're all the same.
Yeah.
Keith?
Okay, you check. Slovak, whichever, same.
Yeah. Keith, what's your vote on that?
Initially, I was a Poulin guy. After last year, I think I'm more a Nilsson guy. But how can you tell at this point? It's just been a disaster this year. Be more comfortable making that assessment next year. But Nilsson's obviously got some good size. Was pretty skillful. And you have the excuse that it was like I don't know. Is this good? Is this good? It was a disease or sick, which is more than I feel like Poulin might be hampered by injury. Which one can get over which one easier is really where I'm leaning. So I feel like allegedly Nilsson solved that.
Right, but this is the internet, and you're supposed to have a strong opinion, and you're supposed to say it as if you know absolutely what you're talking about.
Nilsson will be in the Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Book it.
Mike, do you have you think one or the other has a better shot?
I pretty much. Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion, I'm afraid. I get to kick off the internet, I guess. But no, I'm going to have to say Poulin if I'm forced to pick one, just because I think he has a better track record. And, of course, the downside is if he has long-term mechanical problems with his legs. But if just for the purposes of the argument, I'm going to assume that they're both going to get over whatever it was that they were having problems with. I mean, Poulin's not a giant, but he's like 6'2". He's reasonably athletic and reflexive. So he can both fill the net and react and get recover for second saves and things like that. So he's again, he was at least like Mark said, until the injury, he had some success as a young goaltender even in the NHL level. So I feel that as long as he maintains his health, he can continue to develop and he can continue along that track. It's not like he's never had any high points to look forward to, or to look back on. Hopefully, plenty to look forward to. This is surprisingly nerve-wracking.
You're a goalie. You're supposed to be used to that kind of nerves there. All right. We haven't really touched on the draft too much, but one, are there any overall impressions from the draft, positive or negative, like kind of feelings? And also, Dan, do you have something special on Camerata?
Yes.
That you need to share?
I do. While at the draft, I was given this free ISS draft guide that we all got, including some stickers that I have in here, in this other book that they gave me. No Islander stickers. But here's the ISS scouting report on Camerata. There's a bunch of bullet points here. Here are a few of them. Tiny goal-scoring forward, small body and small frame, size will be a major hurdle, stock has dropped as the season wore on, needs to improve compete level. So, there you go. Make of that as you will. Tiny goal-scoring
for 3
forward.
years is the compete level thing. We
So
draft
we-
a guy without
Cappy
compete
will
level.
take care of that. The battle level thing Cappy will take care of as soon as he hits camp.
So we got another Di Benedetto.
Are any of those stickers of Camerata life size?
They're shrinking.
The stickers suck. Well, actually, here's Corey Schneider. Oops, so much for that one. And Danny Briere. Yeah, these stickers all kind of suck. But I just thought tiny goal-scoring forward sounds more like the summary of like a movie on Disney Junior or something like that.
Most valuable
Won a
primate.
draft at the NHL level. So I just thought that was hilarious. Those four words together made me really laugh. The draft was a great time, by the way. When the Schneider trade was announced, the whole place sort of went, wow, and all the Devils fans went bananas. And then right after, the Nino trade was announced, and it was like somebody let their air out of a tire. Like just nothing. Nobody cared. Wasn't a big deal. Meanwhile, me and Hockey Goalie A, Lighthouse Hockey poster, who gave me the ticket, we just started looking at each other like, oh, what are you going to do? We'll figure it out later. But it was a good time. I highly recommend going. Mark, you should go next year in Philly.
Oh yeah, sure. I should bug what's his name about that.
The DiPietro story is out now. Oh boy. Do you want to see the picture?
God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just an infamous
That doesn't work.
That's a
Charles
guy.
Manson?
That's a guy from the Amityville Horror.
Rolling from the Amityville Horror?
Wait,
It kind of looks like they ran a picture of me there. Hold on.
shit. It's Mike.
Secret's out.
Yeah, we blew
Mine's
this. We
all
should have.
screwed up too. Why not?
It's a stock mountain man photo.
Oh, God.
We should have billed this as Rick DiPietro joining the Lighthouse.
Yeah, right.
It's a B-roll thing.
Just commented.
I would have loved it if they had run the picture of him in the fish stick Rick outfit.
Captain Ricky? The Captain Ricky meme?
That would have been perfect. Oh, I forgot to bring it with me for this too, but I could have shown you guys that calendar where they put Matt Martin on, but they used a picture of Andrew McDonald. I was actually gonna bring that for this because speaking of bad pictures, I forgot about it today when I came home from work.
On free agency, are there any other guys? I know we've been talking about the forward and the goalie. But are there any other guys out there that interest anyone that's like, I hope we make a play for that guy? Talk about Nathan Horton. Anyone else?
Gilbert.
If he becomes free, or would you claim him on his current deal?
You know what? Either way, really, that contract is not that.
It's like $1 million something. It's like a little over $1 million. I think $1 million.
I think it's $3 million.
Oh, it's
year.
four. It's $4 mil.
Is it 4?
Yeah.
I think he's only owed 3 though.
Oh,
I heard
mean,
he
$4
sucked.
million. I heard he's pretty good. Guys, and it's 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year, and if you get a power play quarterback out of it, or somebody to share the duty with Wisnowski. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Get one more guy. I don't know, make him play wing. I don't care.
I was
Good
shocked
numbers.
Gerby's on waivers. I would sign Gerby just to keep him from scoring on the Islanders. I mean, that guy is another guy who's just annoying to play against. I mean, sure, he's 4'2", but whatever. Maybe he works out. I don't know why they put him on waivers. He only has 2 more years on his deal.
Because
I would take a flyer
size
on
of
him.
my ass.
The other
It?
And the other thing about Gilbert is that, after that first initial burst where he had a bunch of goals and, he has not done nearly as much since then. And, he's not getting any younger. He's surely not getting any taller. So you might be stuck with a guy who you can't really play. And that, the Islanders already have guys who can fill his niche much more cheaply and much more effectively if you're thinking about, a guy like Keith Aucoin.
Was he the one that wasn't a compliance buyout though, or was did somebody today was a regular buyout? Correct, not a. Was that Kuba?
Philippe Kuba?
I don't know. Somebody today was becoming just a regular buyout, not a compliance buyout. I think it was Gerby. I think Gerby was a compliance buyout though, but that seems like such a waste of a buyout.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's only making
Don't they still have-
That's
Don't they still have Willie Lino?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Why
But
would
he's
you-
hurt. He's hurt.
they
I
couldn't
think.
buy
and he
him out.
couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that right? That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, so why not save it for next year at least?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to need one or not. I guess.
Ehrhoff.
Yeah.
Ehrhoff.
Yeah.
I mean, we say it all the time, or posters say it around Lighthouse Hockey all the time. They couldn't trade this guy for somebody? I think Gerby falls into that category. They couldn't trade this guy for somebody?
Somebody.
Sixth-round pick? Whatever.
He's their miniature Nino. Great.
Yeah.
Yo, why didn't we trade him for Nino?
Yeah, Keith Kuba's that wasn't a compliance buyout.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right.
What about Mike Ribeiro? Do you make a run at him?
No.
Yeah.
No,
I
I got
hate
too
him.
many of those guys on Long Island already. The chains and the hair and shit. I can't. I'm not importing them. I'm not importing them. They grow here. I'm not importing them.
If the Islanders had brought in Clutterbuck, signed Briere, and then signed Ribeiro, that would be a big crisis of conscience for me.
Yeah, right?
Summer,
It hurts.
That many guys I
Likable
can't
team.
stand. Yeah. Yeah, he's weird. He's one of those guys who's good, and he's good. He's probably not as good as his stats, say, and he's annoying as hell, so he gets bounced around so much. So it's kind of like, how badly do you need that?
Such a douchebag.
Yeah,
Yes.
sources say.
Yeah.
I'm not big on any of the buyout guys because they're gonna still end up being overpaid. Even Brizgalov.
Perhaps.
I like the idea of a buyout guy because that means that the Islanders are paying him, and one of their rivals is still paying him, which I think is kind of funny too. But
Yeah, I mean the Brizgalov thing. I do believe he has some level of talent. I don't think he's just completely disappeared. I do think he can get something back, and I think he can do some level of damage to Philly, and that's really more why I want to see him. And because look, it's Navi or it's some other real bad choices right now.
That's a good point. That's a good point. If you give a shot to Navi coming out of the KHL where he barely played and he's 5 years old or 6 years older, Brizgalov on those terms doesn't make it's not a totally harebrained idea. I mean, it makes some sense.
Depending, I guess, again on term and dollar, but
then you have to consider, again, it was just a psychological effect of playing in front of entirely insane Flyer fans.
yeah, and wait till he gets in the playoffs with us.
This is a true story. I've told it before on the blog, but we went to it was a game. Actually, it was so long ago that Garth Snow was in net for the Islanders. It was a game out in the out for the.
Boo! Sorry.
So no, it was a game out in Philly. It just went scoreless into overtime. There's about 10, 15 seconds left. The Islanders are killing a penalty. Flyers wind it around the boards. Pekka picks it up. And he looks up, and there's nobody in front of him. And you literally see him just sort of shrug and go, okay. And he takes off down the ice. The whole place dies out. And from my left somewhere, at the top of his lungs, I hear some guy yell, Good! I hope he scores! I mean, in his booming voice, it's like you know, I was like, oh, poor Chechmanek. And of course, you know, he scores. It's over. We win. But
Chechmanek, wow.
If that's the sort of thing that Brizgalov has been dealing with, along with the, you know, the Cosmic Bears and whatever the hell else going on in his own brain, then I can see where he'd want to escape Philadelphia. You know.
They were talking on Marek versus Brzezinski the other day about how that HBO show probably really screwed him up because all of a sudden he's got cameras in his face and everything he does is gold. Oh my God, get more of this guy, get more of this guy.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's like, you know, he's winning games, it's great. Then when you're losing games, you know, now you went from a sort of a lovable, colorful personality to that fucking crazy dude who doesn't shut up.
So flake, yeah.
Well, I love how he was portrayed that way too. Like the only thing I ever thought of when I saw him on TV was like, that dude's really smart. You know?
Yeah.
And I love how everybody's like, he's fucking crazy. What is it, books? What is books?
I know.
That's where I
How
keep my
typical is
money.
that? Right.
Yeah,
You
and
got like Flyers fans like, what off? The
Oh,
universe, what the hell is that?
Yeah, imagine how was he no Adams?
Yeah.
Media too. Media did the same shit. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
He should have stayed in Phoenix. They never would have found him.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, here's a guy, I mean, he played in Russia, then, you know, Anaheim, the AHL before Anaheim, then Phoenix. And, I mean, that had to be a jolt to suddenly throw him into that mess with those fans and that media, and then the HBO thing on top of it. You know, who knows? Maybe that did mess with his psyche. So.
And while supporting that enormous contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is
It must
like
be
in
tough having all that
Philly.
money.
Yeah, I mean, Ed Schneider throws money at you like Charles Wong, essentially. And, you know, if you're like at Pietro, so all of a sudden you get this big deal. I don't know. I agree with you know, like Keith and everybody who says he's got talent, and given kind of the crap we've had to deal with, he might be a better option than what else is out there.
The Islanders specialize in these sorts of reclamation projects anyway, so I mean, it would certainly be in character for them.
Sure.
He doesn't need the money. We know that much now.
No.
But
And-
the problem I see is that it's gonna, unless he shuts up, it's gonna be the same problem because everybody's gonna shove a mic in his face, and if he doesn't shut up, they'll just keep shoving the mic in his face.
who's
So
going to
it'll be the
shove a
same
mic
problem.
in his face?
It'll be the same problem no matter where they go.
Yeah, Stan Fischler, basically.
Yeah. Oh man, Steve, that's
Fischler's
the
gonna
sign
love
right there.
Yeah, but the problem is on Long Island,
together.
we think that stuff is gold. You know, in Philly thinks you're crazy. Here, like, we love Nabokov. We love Brizgalov.
Yeah. I mean, for God's sakes, I think we know like the top 3 or 4 writers for the Islanders, and Fischler's gonna love him. I mean, I can't imagine it being, you know, that bad. Like, I don't know. You see, this is what I feel bad about. Like, I can't imagine being a guy that's smart and having to play on a team full of dummies. And really, can you imagine that? Like, that's your whole life. Guess what? 10-game road trip with the dummies. Fuck.
Yeah, can we find out who his roommate was?
His roommate. It's probably Ronaldo.
Yeah.
It's like, Mother of God.
In Russia, I was astrophysicist.
Yeah, but
I would love to have seen him.
Has Fischel ever hated anybody?
I don't know. Maybe me. I don't know. It's possible.
I'm sure he used to have feuds with. I don't know. I might be wrong, but I think he had like a long-standing feud with the Rangers for like a really long time. But it sort of dissipated after a while. I feel like that's right, but I might be wrong. I don't know. Like, I think that because I mean, he covered the Devils mainly for those early Stanley Cup years, and then he's kind of back to the Islanders, and he's sort of folded. Obviously, he works for MSG, so he works for the Rangers too now. But I feel like I read somewhere that he had like a huge feud with the Rangers for the longest time. But maybe somebody that worked at the Garden is no longer there. I don't know.
would have been like in the 70s and 80s when he, when he was covering the Isles a lot more.
60s, 50s, 40s, yeah, whatever, 20s.
Right. He always favored the New York Americans.
I think that was it. It was a feud with the Americans, the Montreal Maroons, and the Hamilton Bulldogs. I think were the
Lester Patrick, that bastard.
Son of a bitch.
That young punk. I feel like we should be throwing in a Doug Waiters old joke here, too.
Michael Grabner is fast.
Oh, yeah, I was supposed to say free grabs 40. Hashtag free grabs 40.
Why?
Hashtag free grabs 40. I was asked to.
By who?
I'd get $1.
Seems well worth
it. It was like $1, okay.
We finally capitalized Lighthouse Hockey.
Yeah. You earned that $1.
Yeah, so, thank you. I'm expecting payment, buddy, all right? There it is.
$2.
Now, those are quotes. One more.
All right, I have one more topic to address before we can throw it open to whatever the hell else you guys need to get off your chest.
Oh boy.
It's scary.
Superman!
Right.
Start that again.
Yeah. The language
Don't
on
see
Lighthouse
Man of
Hockey
Steel,
has
it's
gotten
terrible.
Is that what we're talking about? That's what you want to fucking talk about?
No, of our division rivals, which now I forget how many we have now. I think we have Carolina and Columbus too. Who's going to be? Who do you think is heading downhill? Even worse than they did last year, if anyone. So Chris, you're on the spot first.
4 days ago? What is today? Wednesday? 5 days ago? I would have said the Devils before they got Schneider. I think Brodeur is definitely slowing down. Showed it last year, and but honestly now, I don't know. I'm a little scared, honestly. Especially if the Blue Jackets somehow manage to land Horton. We could be in trouble next year, honestly.
Dan?
I'm with Chris. I thought about that the other day. Like, geez, I don't know. Especially if the Flyers somehow, again, without a cap, somehow they put together a team. I don't know if they're going to be bad 2 years in a row. I think Carolina has, it's funny. Like on paper, they look like they're okay, and then all of a sudden, they just couldn't get out of their own way last year. So they could be in trouble too. They have a lot of questions, I think, with the Islanders. But as far as going downhill, I don't know. It's hard to say. There's a lot of good teams out there. It could be anybody, but hopefully it's not us. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, more of the same. Will Carolina collect another Stahl brother to
More?
add to their stable of 3 already? But I think Philly could regress hard. I mean, they're signing so many veteran guys that are on the tail end of their career that, I mean, it's got to catch up to them at some point. It's kind of like the Phillies. Some year it's got to catch up to them that they're basically trotting out these 34, 35-year-old guys that are going to break down at some point, and it's just a matter of when. It's next year, the year where they bottom out, or do they play well? So, yeah.
Keith?
I don't know that anybody's regressed a lot. I would say Philly, Jersey, and Pittsburgh too. And not that Pittsburgh is necessarily regressed, but they've set a path for terrible. In terms of the contracts, I feel like I think what's going to end up starting to happen is that they're going to start to shed some people, and they're going to start to incorporate rookies. And this is a couple of different teams. They're going to have to start incorporating some untested guys to make accommodations for the hell they wrought with their salary cap situation. And and the Islanders will probably be fine just staying status quo that way. As long as they're not I feel like their prospects are probably a little more NHL ready too if they're going to be starting to incorporate them than some of the others. Not that I have a huge basis for that, but just a guess. And I don't know. I haven't seen too much in the way of anybody weakening themselves substantially yet, but I feel like we're still in a good position. There's also, I mean, who else got added to this division? It was Columbus and Carolina, and well, all right. And Washington.
Oh, Washington, yeah.
Right.
Washington.
Washington might lose Ribeiro. I don't know. They didn't sign anybody yet, right? Washington either?
No.
So, yeah.
They fought out Jeff Schultz, too.
Yeah, well, he was terrible.
Yeah.
Right?
He's a 6'6" road cone.
Yeah. Guess what? That guy led the league in plus-minus a few years ago.
Mark, you got anybody?
The Flyers are becoming the late 90s Rangers where they don't even have an identity anymore. They're just a bunch of players that you know the name of, all in one place. The Devils, the Devils got Schneider, but they still went, 15 straight losses when Kovalchuk went down? I mean, it's still not that good just because they added Schneider, so I'm not big on them. I think Carolina's going to get better. Columbus, I think Bobrovsky was a one-year wonder. And Washington's always good, and Pittsburgh is always good. So that's my general thoughts.
Right, and Mike?
Well, I think as time goes on, obviously, I think we're going to know more. But early on, it looks like Philly and the Devils have many more holes than the Islanders. And the Islanders have an obvious need to boost their top six on the wing, and they have an obvious need in goal. Other than that, their defense looks really good. They have a lot of depth through the lineup. They have a lot of guys who can play a lot of different styles. Whereas the Devils and Philly, with the Devils, what happens, it looks like they don't have much in the way of defense. And, they have a lot of older stars that they're still re-signing. Like they extended Zubris, they're extending Elias, they're extending, I think they already announced that they extended Podkorovsky.
Yeah. They're talking to Zidlichki, too.
Zidlichki, yeah. It's going to be, obviously, Lou Lamoriello being who he is, it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility that they'll find a couple of defensemen, maybe even go after Gilbert, or a couple of the other guys take a flyer on a guy like Kuba or Caberlet, just to give them something, and then hope that Schneider holds the fort. But and even more than that, Philly, because the Flyers not only don't have much on the way of defense right now, but they also probably have to lose a couple of their effective defensemen, sacrificing guys to their cap problems. So those two teams I don't think have really done themselves. The Devils obviously picked up Schneider, so they're more improved than anybody else in the division right now. But Philly's doing themselves no favors right now. And I don't know. I think I see them going behind us. But what some of the other guys mentioned, I can't see Carolina being as sort of out to sea as they were for most of this past season. So I think they're going to be competition for that final spot. Cam Ward stays healthy. He always gives them a reasonable opportunity to win games. I don't think he's been quite right over the past couple seasons. I seem to recall him having to miss time and then having to go with guys like Justin Peters, which he's not Cam Ward. That's all there is to it. So I think that they should be more stable and they should have a better shot at competing for that last playoff spot. And then you've got Pittsburgh, you've got Columbus in the mix for that last playoff spot as well, assuming that Pittsburgh and the Rangers are good enough to probably make it no matter what.
Who do you think?
And who do they leave? I left someone out. Washington?
Yeah.
I left Washington out. That's it, though.
Yeah.
Now I think I'm going to
Washington.
Washington. I mentioned Washington. The Capitals, yeah, I nothing them, yes.
Yeah, I'm with I think most of you guys that the Devils look, although I know like their underlying stats were good last year and their shooting percentage was ridiculously low and all that, but they seem flawed enough and aging enough that Schneider helps. Briere, I guess, if they get him, helps. But they seem like them and the Flyers both seem like they're kind of on that wrong side of the curve. And I'm afraid I'm a little worried about the Rangers because I think Vigneault will probably work some magic and figure out how to use that roster pretty well. The Capitals, I don't know what they're doing. They kind of needed Ribeiro just to be as good as they were last year, which wasn't very good. And I don't know what they're going to do to try to address that. Or they've got that one Russian prospect. He's not coming over this year, is he?
Kuznetsov?
Kuznetsov, is this his year?
I think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah. That would be a bummer. But
He's been in their system since like 1982, right? I mean, I feel like every year it's the year, but everything.
Does anyone know if Washington's bringing back Erat?
was he a UFA?
I thought so. I thought they traded Big Speed Forbes for him as a rental.
Erat signed through 2015.
Oh wow. Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, there you
So,
go.
yes.
So then, yeah, that'll help. I thought he was always underrated in Nashville. Nashville doesn't have a star system really.
He's making nothing the next 2 years. Well, his salary, he's got a backdiving contract too. Erat, so he's making 3.7 this year, and 2.2 next year. After making the peak at 11-12 was 6, and last year was 5.5. So his cap hits 4.5, but his salary is like 2.2. That's a guard snow special right there.
To play on a line with Vladimir Orzag when he first played in Nashville.
Wow.
Wow.
That was like that was pre-Milbury, wasn't it?
Jason Krog wasn't available.
No, he was a Orzag. But when I worked at the Associated Press, the guys who weren't into hockey used to laugh at us that were, because we used to be able to spell Arkhipov was the other guy on Arkhipov, Orzag, and Erat without having to look them up in the book. Like, we just knew who those guys were. Like, oh yeah, Orzag, he used to be an Islander.
Oh, God.
That's impressive. I'm going to read a Cap Geek trivia moment. Just that James Wisniewski is still making $5.5 million per year through 2016, 2017 with a no movement clause.
I wonder
And
who
did
we
he sign that contract
to
with
get
like
that.
3 teams ago?
Nice, Chris.
Seriously, he is Wisniewski's like 3 teams removed from the team that signed him to that contract in the first place, isn't he?
No, I think he signed it with
No,
Columbus.
he signed it with yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was on a 1-year deal. He had 1 year left when the Islanders got him, I think.
Yeah, he
that's
signed
right.
that deal and then got himself suspended for the first 9 games of the season or
No,
something,
right?
right?
Right.
Immediately pissed away half of it.
Because I remember the Islanders signed him, and you almost never trade a free agent the year you sign him. But they ditched him in like 20 games or
Yeah, it
something
was like
that.
it was like 2 months.
They dumped him right on Montreal there.
He was exceeding the
Well,
shit.
they traded to get him. It wasn't a free agent.
Did they trade to get his rights? And
They
then sign
got
him?
Traded for him. They traded like a second rounder for him.
who, the Islanders?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on one of those
He was
deals.
a
where-
third.
Really?
I think we got him for a third, and then we traded him for a second and a fifth.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We got Johan Sundstrom as one of those.
That's the Garth Snow
That's
special.
right. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Not bad. Yeah, I'll take that every year.
Okay, I have one more question. I know I lied earlier, I said I had one more, but tough.
Thank you, Columbo.
I just gotta. Can I just ask you, Miss? Which prospect would you bet on making the team? You know, which Bridgeport kid, or yeah, I guess they've all been in Bridgeport by now for a little bit. Who, forward, defense, goalie, whatever. Who's your surest bet to be on the roster on opening night? I'll go left to right again, Chris.
All right, I love being first. Donovan's a sure bet. I mean, I couldn't see any scenario where he's not on the team next year. I don't know how you play 2 years in Bridgeport, put up 45-plus points as a defenseman, and don't get a shot in the NHL. So I'm going with safe pick, Donovan.
All right, Dan.
I want to say Strome, but I mean Nelson was there with them in the playoffs last year, so I could see him doing it, being on a team. But I guess it depends on who they sign and where they have a hole, and if I guess they could plug in Strome in either wing or center. So I'm going to go with Strome.
All right, Dave.
I'm going to go with Nelson. Yeah, Capuano I must have had a ton of trust in him in the first place to make his NHL debut in the playoffs. So I see him making the team out of camp easily.
I should have asked who's in the opening night lineup. But anyway, Keith, what's your vote?
I would say probably Donovan, only because the rest are too close to call. I think that somebody else will make it as a forward. Truthfully, I'm pulling for Kavanagh. Like hearing that the Roberts news, like he's in the Roberts camp thing. That was pretty cool. And if he's actually put on some weight and some size and some strength, he'd actually be pretty good for Tavares' line. I wouldn't mind seeing it, certainly. But doubt he'll make it. But in theory, that works.
Where do we have him in the 25 under 25? That's the question.
He was down there.
23 or 24?
Yeah, he was. I think he made the list, but it was low.
Tattoos.
Not my list.
Yeah.
My list, he was high.
Yeah, he's pretty low, and he hasn't done a lot lately. But that whole style of play that he does, like I don't know, even if it takes him several years, I could see him, being almost this Parento type who, finally makes it. Because I don't know, he just has some skills to his game that if he channels them the right way, I guess you could say that about every shrimp, Dick and Harry. But
I mean, he's young though, so isn't he?
yeah, he is pretty young. Yeah.
Who, Kavanagh? Yeah, he's. I think he might just be turning 21 now, or he might be 20, or he might be 30. Who the hell knows?
He came from Russia. Who knows?
Like Il Duque? Like, who knows
Came over in a bathtub.
That was Dominican wingers, darn it.
Mark, who's your pick?
It's easy. It's got to be Nelson because just the Islanders won. I mean, the Islanders were barely trusting any of the rookies leading up to the end of the season, let alone in the playoffs. So it's going to be Nelson. I think. I still think it's going to be a toss-up between the three youngsters on who gets up there, because they might just throw Dehan into the NHL so he doesn't get injured in the AHL this season.
All right, and Mike?
I think it's just going to be Strome. I mean, he's been very close to making the team each of the last two times he's been up, and they just I don't know if they're going to be able to sign someone to put him off like they did with Boys this past season. So I can see him making the team and them giving him a shot.
By the way, Kavanagh turns 21 in 2 weeks.
All right.
Can I share something from Twitter really quick?
Please.
Sure.
There's a report. The Flyers are interested in Alexander Edler. Just letting you know, the Flyers are out there again.
They're trading for Edler?
They're interested in him.
Oh.
I just don't understand how they have money to get all these guys.
You know what? I think his no-trade clause kicked in the other night.
Did it?
I think that's what they were saying, because I think Vancouver was shopping him before the draft or something, because it was one of those. Who was the guy? It was a Wisniewski situation where his no-trade clause was about to kick in, and so they were dealing. I mean, but who knows? Maybe shopping him is enough where he'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll go to Philly. But I don't know. That'd be interesting. I think he makes many millions too, right? So.
Edler, and they got rid of Ballard though today too, right? Why did
Yeah.
they get rid of both? Do you think?
Edler's cap it is $5 million.
Wow,
Yeah,
he's making.
They were talking about having to get rid of Edler not only because of the no-trade clause, but if they couldn't figure out a way to deal Luongo, they were also going to be very snug up against the cap, so against the ceiling.
Wow. Yeah, he's making $5 million for 6 more years.
Oh, wow. That sounds like something the Flyers would do.
Yeah.
I like him, but not that much, I think.
No.
They really like
The
eventually.
Flyers will get Ballard and him and every other player in the NHL. I swear I was kidding when I wrote that. I didn't think that was going to actually turn out to be real. Billy, I was kidding. Stop.
What I love is that post that the Flyers are after everybody, or we'll trade everybody. That still comes up. We get retweets on that, just several times a week, some other Flyers fan discovers it. It's like, yeah, that's right.
I mean, I know Dan's aware of it, but that thing got like 15,000 views. I mean, it's absurd.
Really?
Yeah. You don't really. You look at the stats like every 2 minutes.
So seriously, 11,000.
Whenever I need an emotional pick-me-up.
Oh, and 15,000 is actually low for a single story at Lighthouse, right? So,
Is it? Not 1,500, 15,000.
According to Tyler Blazinski, the SB Nation founder and major honcho, we are doing very good. He said our traffic is very good. He said at a meeting the other night. So whatever that means, that's
Maybe Dom should push for a raise.
yeah.
Well, we didn't just have a coup to take out the leadership of the blog, so.
Yeah. Well, wait till they see this thing. Our stats are going to go up. Like, those are the guys that are running? Oh, my God. Island is point blank.
Yeah. How many people are going to be I knew that guy was an asshole.
Yeah. That guy with the hat, that's McNally.
Get a haircut, yeah, Beavis.
All right, well, very good. I think we've gone through a list of topics and gone a little over an hour, so should probably bring it to a close. I don't know if there are no rules here, but...
Well, there's one rule, but you followed it. You wore your Killing Joke shirt.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. My legal name actually isn't Dominic. It's Franz is great. I've changed it now.
I was just about to say we went an hour without a Franz Nielsen reference.
Save the best for last. So yeah, unless anyone objects, I guess I will draw our first, hopefully public Lighthouse Hockey massive Gab Fest here to a close.
Yeah, that works. I'm sorry, I dropped one F-bomb.
I dropped one.
Yeah, me too.
YouTube's filled with
right.
color, so. That's right.
Well, no, I wasn't sure. I don't know how that works. YouTube versus like SBN, or like,
yeah, I don't know
who
either. They
cares?
really, yeah.
I mean, I've heard other people's podcasts that sound pretty, racy.
Colorful.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
That's it. Racy. Yeah, racy sounded like such. I shouldn't have said that.
I thought you said racist.
Welcome to Lighthouse Hockey. Oh, yeah.
He is actually a
girl.
62-year-old woman. Sounds kind of racy. I don't know.
I'm blushing.
Well, I don't think this sound panel has a bleep, so I think we're stuck with the
that's
F-bombs.
right.
This isn't.
Right.
See how best we can do.
All right. Yeah. Well, then I'm gonna shut down the studio, or at least end this broadcast. And thanks anybody who was actually watching. We're probably gonna force you to watch it because that's the only content we're gonna put up tomorrow. So.
Happy 4th of July.
Yeah. Happy 4th of July. Thanks all.
Who's vacuuming now?
No, there's actually. I think part of that is fireworks. I live about a quarter mile from a public park, and they have a big fireworks show going on tonight. So,
Oh,
that
Did
like
anybody
the
tell them it wasn't
tornadoes.
the 4th of July?
the what?
Anybody tell them it wasn't the 4th of July yet?
On the actual day, there's 9 million other things going on. I guess. So.
They're practicing. All right. I think
No,
I'm
it
gonna
was a
click
pretty
end
big-
broadcast here, but I think we'll still be available or something. So we'll see what happens.